Civil wars continue to explode across MAGA, and the latest between Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura Loomer might be the most delicious and possibly destructive yet. And to talk all about it, I am joined with my friend Cam Caskey. Kim, how you doing, man?
You know, Jack, the girls are in fact fighting, and you hate to see it. You love to see it. There's a lot of discourse as to whether we love to see it. But Marjorie Taylor Greene versus Laura Loomer is an interesting one because they would be so much stronger together. They are both from the same ilk of conspiracy peddlers. I actually met Laura Loomer once, unaware of who she was back in 2018. Not very charismatic and charming in the way that you might expect somebody who's that fringe to be. But regardless, you actually texted me about this. I wasn't aware of this fight. I suppose it's to be expected because these are two very combative people who love attention. But can you just sort of explain, as if I didn't read the tweet, what happened?
Yeah, so before we even get into the tweet, which is a firestorm of hilarity, I think we got to start with the context, which is Marjorie Taylor Greene's growing resentments towards the right in general. She thought she was going to get her opportunity with the endorsement of Donald Trump to run for Senate in Georgia, which would have been the greatest thing that ever happened, considering just how poorly the generic Republican candidate is going to perform in the midterms. Her versus Ossoff would have been just one of the greatest debates we've ever seen. But she didn't. And then she wasn't afforded the opportunity to run for governor with Trump's endorsement either. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is really just personally pissed, and she's lashing out, saying that the Republican Party isn't pro-women like she thought, it isn't pro-worker like she thought. And so she's been really undermining Trump in a lot of different ways lately. And that has led to Laura Loomer deciding that she wants to butt her nose in. But it started with Marjorie Taylor Greene posting about how Laura Loomer, who I guess is her nemesis on the try to win Trump's approval side of things, how Laura Loomer blocked her. And then it led to a pretty great retort from Laura Loomer. But I just want to check out this Twitter spat.
All right, so for today's reading, I will be doing the role of Marjorie Taylor Greene, one that I believe I've been preparing for my entire life. Laughy face emoji, laughy face emoji, laughy face emoji. Of course, what a coward. I looked her up after I heard she attacked Medal of Honor recipient Florent Groberg, who risked his own life to heroically save his military brothers from a suicide bomber. What was hero Florent Groberg's Loomer crime? Nothing. He spoke at a Democrat convention. But Laura Loomer has zero respect or reverence for even the most heroic people in America. Ask any veteran, military member, an American. No one cares about his politics. The man was willing to die to save others from a suicide bomber. Shut up, Laura. And then she posted that Laura Loomer has blocked her.
And then since we're doing, I guess, random accents for this, in the dramatic reading of Laura Loomer, I will go back to my old Southern roots. Here's the evidence she cheated on her husband. It is said that excessive steroid use in women makes women develop a form of increased sex drive. Marjorie Taylor Greene claims to be a Christian, but she cheats and lies to get what she wants. She wears a cross around her neck as she cheats on her husband. She gave, I'm not going to say that, in the back room of CrossFit gyms while wearing her wedding ring and her cross, pretending to be a Christian.
Yeah, she made blow two different words. Lowercase b, uppercase J, as in like Steve Jobs.
Okay, you can say it. I didn't want to get us demonetized. Sorry, Bulwark.
No, Dante, just bleep it out. Just keep blow and bleep out the second word. Although I don't think we can get demonetized because when I was quoting somebody who used it as two different words.
So we're fine. So it's clear. But so that's the current state of MAGA right now. They are fighting, and you would probably be like, okay, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene is in Twitter spats all the time. What's the difference? She is really alienating herself right now is the difference. And she is much like a lot of Republicans who are kind of waking up to the fact that not only has Trump abandoned every promise that he made on the campaign trail, but standing by him isn't really necessarily the politically popular thing to do right now. We saw that with the ridiculous, unwarranted, and unconstitutional bombing of Iran, the no new wars promise broken then. Of course, the Epstein scandal has been promise after promise broken. But what I think is so important to point out with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is not the only Republican woman causing problems right now, and we're going to get to that in a second, is she isn't mad in all of her complaints that women are being cast aside in the Republican Party. She's not worried that women are dying of ectopic pregnancies in parking lots. She's not worried that women have to raise children without any support but are asked by our government to just start pumping out the babies and we're worried about the fertility rate. No. Marjorie Taylor Greene is worried about a woman, and that woman is herself. She's mad that people aren't allowing her to run for higher office. She's mad that she hasn't had an elevated leadership position. It is a petty personal politics that is happening in the GOP.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a very common type of Republican woman. And a very common type of person, by the way. This isn't just Republican women, but it's sort of like a focus not on she, but on me. And this has obviously led to her colliding with Laura Loomer. There's this thing that MAGA likes to do where they try to, the quote unquote, like more moderate Republicans who still bend the knee for Trump, obviously, they like to distance themselves from characters like Loomer and Marjorie Taylor Greene. But the influence that these people have over the party is clear as day. We're going to throw up two images right now. We've got Donald Trump and Laura Loomer during that period of time in his campaign where she was just with him all the time. And then we're going to put up King Stannis Baratheon and the Red Woman Melisandre from Game of Thrones, because they're very similar situations. You've got somebody who feels entitled to be the king, and you've got a mysterious shadow woman whispering things in his ear that he seems to be listening to. And Laura Loomer's influence over the party is important to consider when she's tweeting genocidal things about Hispanic people and saying that we are going to put all Hispanic people in this country in something like Alligator Alcatraz. Taylor Greene versus Loomer is big, and I don't really know what side Trump would take. I think he's just going to kind of let the girls duke it out and hope that it can just stay off his radar. But like you had alluded to, this doesn't stop at Laura Loomer versus Marjorie Taylor Greene. Nancy Mace has thrown her hat in the ring.
I noticed that there's one of the accomplishments, thing you were touting was the I-5 2016 interchange.
What was the exit at Long Point Road? Yeah, not the interchange, but yeah.
But that funding came from the Inflation Reduction Act, which you voted against.
Right.
Is that an accomplishment? Is that something you can tout?
No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely I can tout that. And you're a raging Democrat, so raging leftist with that kind of questioning. And I would say as a woman, like, you might want to think about how you view other women and how you treat other women, the way that you question them, because women are going to lead this country off the brink, and conservative women. The first female president of this country is going to be a conservative woman, not some liberal like you.
Okay, again, just a question about the bill, whether you voted for it or not.
I love that we so quickly pivot to, well, you just hate women for that question. Really, the best part of the clip is not like the blank stare of Nancy Mace when she's like, I don't know what to say but to attack you. It's the reporter at the end saying, yeah, it was just a question, about a bill that you voted against. You voted against the bill, and the question was about the bill. But again, this is the petty personal politics that drives everything MAGA does. You're not anti-women when you take away a woman's ability to choose. You're anti-woman when you ask Nancy Mace a question about a thing she did and proudly did. She voted against the bill. She proudly voted against the bill, and asking her about it is somehow the big issue.
This is an interesting thing from conservatives, because whenever liberals do some sort of feminism, whether it be shallow and performative or actual advocacy for women's rights, conservatives like to talk about how it's just shallow, performative identity politics and everything. But every opportunity Republicans have to act as though they are being, woman warrior sheroes when they're doing transphobia and talking about protecting girls' sports while also celebrating somebody throwing a vibrator onto the court of a WNBA game. It's like, oh, are these the people who are fighting for women's sports? But conservatives, anytime they can sort of suggest that they are the actual feminists here, anytime a female conservative is being attacked and they frame it as somebody's sexism, you get to see that, while the Democratic Party is so bursting at the seams with identity politics, it really is the Republicans who play into it the most.
Yeah, have you seen the tolerant left thing? How often do you come across the tolerant left? Do you know what I'm talking about? When Republicans will be faced with even mild criticism for their actions and lack of character, and they're like, "Oh, the tolerant left is coming after me."
It's been memed by like leftists and frankly even liberals alike. And I think that that's sort of what we have here is Laura Loomer, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Nancy Mace are kind of at the center of MAGA girl power which is girls getting the power to strip the rights away from other girls.
Yeah.
You also have stuff like Kristi Noem talking about how South Park's depiction of her was mean about the way that they were treating her body.
Yeah.
Or something, you know, it was unfair the way that they were drawing her and that they were being anti-woman with their comedy. And it's like, you know, what's anti-woman is supporting an administration that is the worst for women's rights in modern history.
I think that pretty much says it. I don't really know what more you can add. Like, it's just kind of insanity. But like that, this is, again, just the petty personal politics. That's it. They really, truly just care about themselves.
Before we go, we're going to throw up a picture of how South Park responded with a special new picture of Kristi Noem that became their profile picture. I encourage you all to watch the South Park episode where they, you know, kind of lay into her a little bit because it does involve her love for shooting dogs. And the last thing I wanted to do is share an anecdote with you. I think you know this, Jack, because I think you watched this episode of FY Pod. Nancy Mace talks about the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, and we had Harry Sisson on FY Pod, and he was talking about being Irish. And I asked him, did you learn about the IRA? Because I had dinner once with Hozier. And
really?
I was with Hozier.
People have said that I look like him.
I see it. I was with Hozier and two friends of both of ours. I had no idea who he was. I just showed up at the dinner and there was this really affable guy there. And I later learned that he was Hozier. But while we were sitting there, our two friends ended up talking the whole time, and Hozier was just explaining the Irish Republican Army to me. So I learned a lot about the Irish Republican Army at my Hozier dinner. And then when Sisson came on and was talking about being Irish, I said, did you learn about the IRA? And because of how active Harry was in the Biden influencer world, he goes, the Inflation Reduction Act. So Harry, I
think you love that story too much.
It's hilarious. It's like the funniest Biden influencer story that I personally know because it was so sincere. He was just like, I'm glad people are talking about the Inflation Reduction Act. It was a great bill.
It was a great bill. The domestic agenda of the Biden administration, the domestic agenda. So if we're going to end on that, can I also ask you a question?
Let me hear it.
If I keep getting, so I get Young Gravy a lot. Someone shouted that at me outside of a cab window. I get Bo Burnham. I've gotten Hozier once. Of those three, which do you think? Give me personality too. Which am I aligning with? We can cut this out of the episode.
No. Keep it in the episode. I want people to see. I say Bo. I think that in another life you were making attic piano videos and the Inside special, which I don't know if you saw it. His COVID era special it was so brilliant. And you're also very, very tall. I would say that it's Bo Burnham. And I say that as the highest form of compliment because I've also heard very nice things about him. So everybody with Bulwark, we're Jack Cocchiarella and Cameron Kasky. You're going to be hearing from us very soon. And I have a feeling you're going to like what we have to say. Have a great day, all.